Hey, how's it going? This is a quick little update video on the px16 2.0 and update on the build progress and what I've done so far. It's pretty much ready to go. It's able to run in the water, but there's still some bugs I need to kind of fix. As you can see, it's been painted. It's been like this for a little while now. Looks pretty cool. So far the paint's kind of holding up, so not bad for out of hand. Running twin 3-blade 37mm props on here, brass. Not the most sharp, but I sharpened them a little bit and they seem to work fine. Running a TFL rudder. And then this is the inside. Got two 2S batteries in here at the moment. Everything's all epoxied down. I had a few issues with my little aluminum motor mounts that I created. They kind of move around a little bit. So I noticed the flex shaft was kind of moving. But I added some bracing back here with like a clamp style system that keeps everything snug and held together. And I also epoxied that down. Tried to make everything nice and neat and look decent. All my wiring and whatnot. Going over here to the receiver. I'm running a 20kg servo back here. Turn that TFL rudder. The motors are leopard 2960, 2730 kV. So they're a little bit slower than the 3000 kV motors I had in here. But they do pack a lot more punch, there's a lot more torque, and they're just better motors, because Leopard makes great stuff. Other than that, I'm still running 230 amp ESCs for right now, because 3S power is ample. So as you can see, I've done quite a bit. It's really hard to tell, but I did kind of like a cheap carbon fiber inlay, and then I epoxied over that. Unfortunately, the epoxy kind of covered up the carbon fiber look. You can still see it down there. And then I used some carbon fiber battery mounts for an ESC mount, and as well as the battery itself, or batteries. This is a really cheap, easy setup. Like I said, some of these parts I already had. But it does look a lot nicer than it did before. It's a lot more snug. Everything seems to be well balanced, and I've already had some people commenting on the battery location because it's so far back, but because I have the motors so far forward, it seems to work great. And I did some test runs in the water, and it's fine to me. I mean, these 2S's are actually kind of heavy, but the 3S's I run are 50C, but they're the Ovonic, or however you say it, I'm not quite sure, but you know, these are made for like airplanes and, you know, drones, so they're pretty small. These batteries are actually lighter than these guys, and obviously they're 3S, so it's a little bit more voltage. But yeah, so that's pretty much the setup on this guy. I might have to have some video soon of it running in the water. With my test runs, I wasn't able to give it full throttle, and I think it's because my flex shaft is just, it's a little bit too long, and where my coupler is to where the end of the stuffing tube is, it's a little bit too much distance, so there's too much play there in the shaft itself. So it vibrates quite a bit because it's not completely straight like it's supposed to. You know, but that's okay, it's trial and error, so it's figuring out where things need to be positioned and go from there. I might even just get longer stuffing tube because this comes out fairly easy, and some that go all the way closer to the coupler, and hopefully that'll help. Other than that, everything seems to be working fine, and this was a really fun, easy project, and I'm glad to have it back out on the water, and it looks really good while it's out there. It's nice because I can give it half the throttle I did before on 3S, and it goes about just as fast, you know, as it did before on full throttle. So I've yet to actually open her all the way up, but I tell you what, it actually screams. And then I've added some rigidity with the carbon inlay and the weight. And, you know, a lot of people will say, oh, it's a waste of money because it's a plastic hull and this and that, you know, you're just wasting your time. But in all honesty, who cares? You know, it's all about what you enjoy and what you like doing. And this is my hobby, and I like making cheap plastic hulls, you know, into something that's fun. So now that this thing's going, I'm gonna have to make some videos of it running in the water, and you can see really how fast it is. Yeah, well, one other difference that I was gonna say that I did is the way I have the props set up. Before I had them, you know, they were counter-rotating, but they're rotating towards the outside of the boat. And I kind of learned that that's really good for stability in the corners, but it's not always the greatest for top end. And obviously with the 3-blade props, you may not have as much top end as the 2 blades, but the way I have these guys angled here at the back of the boat, if you can see, it kind of lifts the boat up out of the water. So going back to what I said before, where I have my batteries placed way in the back, yeah, most of the weight is back here, but the way these are angled is kind of canceling the action. It's kind of forcing the front of the boat down, and it doesn't seem to be bouncing too bad either, so that's a good thing. And then with these 3-blade props, it also provides a little bit more lift, so the boat actually sits up out of the water perfectly. Yeah, so, you know, it's trial and error, and it's figuring out different ways to get speed out of something that really was not supposed to go this fast. So, yeah, that's it for now.